What are you focused on? So many guys, it seems like they're focused on this goal oriented, like, okay, I need to, retain my semen forever or else I'm a failure, and they feel very guilty when they inevitably ejaculate at some point, and they beat themselves up about it. That's not a healthy pattern to get into. Hey guys, I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so that you can magnetize your ideal life. If you're interested in learning more about sexual mastery, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when I release new videos. Make sure you grab my free ejaculation control guide. There's a link in the description below. So, wet dreams when you're practicing semen retention. It seems like almost every day someone sends me a message, asking about wet dreams. And I've made several other videos on wet dreams, but I thought it was time to make another one, because people are always asking me about this. And, there's a few different insights I have now about preventing wet dreams. First of all, let me just say that it's important when you're practicing semen retention not to get too obsessive, over how long you've gone, like having an ejaculation here and there. It's not the end of the world, guys. The important thing here is your intention, right? What are you focused on? So many guys, it seems like they're focused on this goal oriented, like, okay, I need to, retain my semen forever or else I'm a failure, and they feel very guilty when they inevitably ejaculate at some point, and they beat themselves up about it. That's not a healthy pattern to get into. The qualities of sexual energy is that it multiplies things and it amplifies things. So when you start to associate occasional ejaculation with failure, and guilt, and you're going to amplify those patterns. You're going to glue yourself to those patterns and cause some, very unhealthy patterns for yourself, basically. It's important to just focus on overall developing your energy. To me, that's the goal of semen retention, is developing my energy, stopping this leak, not just dumping this energy out, outward and downward, but containing it within the body the best I can, cultivating that energy to my highest ability and using that energy the best that I can, and occasionally, maybe you may lose some here and there, it's not the end of the world. Think about it. It's kind of like we could use the comparison of money. First, you save up your money, right? By practicing semen retention, it's like you're saving your money, you're building up your money, you're investing it or whatever, you're putting into your savings account. And you may spend some here and there, but it's not like one ejaculation, you've lost everything that you saved up. That's not how it works. Overall, you'll find that as you practice semen retention and as you're cultivating your energy more and more, an occasional ejaculation here and there, it's not going to kill you. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's also important to note here that, from what I've seen, it seems like this is a huge issue from I would estimate 80 to 90% of guys practicing semen retention. So many people reach out to me about this. It just seems to be sort of an inevitable thing at some point for some people, especially younger guys, if you're in your teenage years, your 20s, some people even in their 30s, you have so much sexual energy, more than you can usually, we'll say digest by practicing semen retention, by holding it in the body, It's just more than you need often, so the body just allows it to release some excess here and there, and I think there may be something to this because, the prostate, there's all these fluids in the prostate, and when you're practicing retention, it's often not going anywhere, it's just kind of collecting here, and it becomes stagnant, especially if you're not doing practices to transmute your sexual energy. If you're not working out your pelvic floor, then you're definitely going to have some stagnation in the genitals. So this is often just the body's way of clearing this stuff out, clearing these old fluids to make room for the new. And something important to note here is that there seems to be this sort of cycle in semen retention, this hormonal cycle of the body. So on day 7 of retention, so day 7 after you have an ejaculation, testosterone peaks. It's really high. It goes up about 150%. This is scientifically validated. They did a study and found this. Day 7, your testosterone boosts tremendously. But about 2 to 3 months in of practicing semen retention, testosterone drops significantly. You'll find that a lot of celibate people, a lot of guys who have been retaining forever and ever, they actually become quite docile because their testosterone levels drops. Because again, it's like a use it or lose it type situation. You want to, for me, it's about finding the optimal balance, in the body. So obviously ejaculating every day is harmful, but trying to go the rest of your life without ejaculating may actually not be the most optimal for your overall functioning. So there seems to be this sort of cycle where you can get into, where, ejaculation here and there may actually reboot your system and balance you out a bit. So that's just something to keep in mind. So basically what I'm trying to say here is don't worry so much about wet dreams here and there. If it's like, every few weeks, like once a month, you're having a wet dream, it's not a big deal. I would say it's only a concern if it's happening like multiple times per week. If it's a regular occurrence, then it's probably something to look into. And this is where I'm going to get into my advice for preventing wet dreams. So the number one cause of wet dreams, I would say, is unfulfilled sexual desires. Throughout the day, you're fantasizing, or you're seeing, attractive women, whatever, and you're projecting sexual energy onto them. You start to get aroused, and there's no completion to this. There's no completion to this desire, and no fulfillment to that. And so what happens is you go to sleep, and your unconscious desires are completely free to be expressed. It's like the body's like, hey, he's asleep, let's party, let's have this orgasm that we really wanted to have during the day, but he wouldn't let us have. So your body's going to, resolve that incompletion in its sleep with an orgasm. So this often manifests in a very sexual dream. There seems to be a difference between the wet dreams where you have a sexual dream and you full-on ejaculation during that dream, versus where it's a dreamless emission, like you just wake up and you're soaked in your semen. There seems to be a difference between these. From my experience, is that I never felt depleted after, I used to have wet dreams frequently when I was first getting to semen retention. By frequently, I mean like, once a month or something like that. So, and I found that these dreamless emissions, where you just wake up and there's fluid, I didn't notice any difference in my energy level. I still felt that I had full sexual energy. So after eventually I was like, okay, when this happens, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to invest any guilt, any frustration into worrying about this. But overall, when it's like those sex dreams where, you're having a sexual encounter and you ejaculate, those do seem to be just as draining as a normal ejaculation would be. So again, that's the number one cause, is this unfulfillment of desires. So the training for this is to get into meditation, start to be aware of your thoughts, stop projecting your sexual energy onto women. As men, we're very good at, projecting the sexual energy onto women through fantasy. We see attractive women, we imagine ourselves having sex with them. What you're doing is you're sending your sexual energy outward. You're programming yourself, hey, sexual energy, go out towards that woman. And this carries over to ejaculations in your sleep, basically. So be very mindful about that. Watch your thoughts. You really have to be a Jedi mind when you're practicing semen retention. That's number one. Meditation helps you overcome this. Running the Microcosmic Orbit, check out my video on the Microcosmic Orbit, helps you to train your energy to stay within your body and loop through up the back of the body, down the front. So you train your energy to get into this loop so that it contains within your body. You start to recycle that energy instead of sending it out into the outside world. That's imperative when you're practicing semen retention. The other most common cause of wet dreams I found is basically being too hot at night. So I found, several years ago, during the winter, it would be cold at night. So I would have a bunch of blankets on me, and then the heater would kick on and it would get really hot. I'd wake up really hot, really sweaty, and covered in my semen, basically, occasionally. It seemed like it happened more, in the winter than anything else. And what I realized was that the body becomes hot at night. For whatever reason, this causes wet dreams. And I actually read this, I think I read it in a Montauk Chia book, something about that. And definitely my own experience confirmed this. So being too hot at night causes, for whatever reason, your body decides to ejaculate. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it seems to be the case. So to prevent this, use less blankets, try to lower the temperature of your room a little bit if possible. Take a cold shower before going to bed. This was very helpful for me, because that cold helps your energy it kind of condenses your energy, helps it to draw inward so that it's not trying to leave your body. So you may find that very helpful, taking a cold shower before sleep. Again, for me, that's been one of the most common causes of wet dreams, is getting too hot at night, basically. And some other things that can cause wet dreams are eating too much food, like eating a really heavy meal before going to bed, eating really spicy foods. Those can cause wet dreams as well. So again, those seem to be the main causes of wet dreams. So having unfulfilled sexual desires, constantly thinking about sex, projecting your sexual energy onto others, getting too hot at night, eating too much food before sleep, or eating really spicy foods. Those seem to be the main causes of wet dreams. So be mindful of that. Do it as you will with this information. Another cause of wet dreams I'm finding is that having too much tension in the pelvic floor. For example, it especially applies if you're having sex without ejaculating, practicing semen retention. If you're using too much squeezing of the PC muscle, then all this tension builds up in the pelvic floor. And you need to be able to have a relaxed pelvic floor, or else all this tension, it activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is linked to the ejaculation response, and that can cause wet dreams. Especially, let's say you've been having sex right before going to bed, and you still have all this tension in your pelvic floor from holding back the ejaculation. The remedy to this is basically doing reverse Kegels. I made a video on how to practice Kegels properly, to keep your pelvic floor relaxed. So check out that video. Having a relaxed pelvic floor helps you to prevent wet dreams that result from this hypertension, the pelvic floor trying to hold back your semen. So just to sum up the ways to prevent wet dreams: don't get too hot at night, take cold showers before going to sleep, manage your thoughts, stop thinking about sex all the time, stop projecting your sexual energy onto women around you. Another helpful thing can be to do affirmations before going to sleep, or maybe like a prayer if that resonates. If you pray to something, someone, whatever, you can use prayer or just affirmation. Just, get yourself into a meditative state. Say to yourself, I do not ejaculate in my sleep. My semen stays in my body. I wake up and still have all this semen in my body. Something like that. You can use affirmation, visualization, prayer, whatever. Retain your semen through the night. And now I'm going to show you an exercise you can use before going to sleep to get the sexual energy moving throughout your body. So I want to talk about the microcosmic orbit for a second. I talk about this a lot. It's basically this energy channel up the back of the body, down the front. You want to get in the habit of running your energy through that channel. Open up this channel, because when our sexual energy is often programmed to flow out the body, downward and outward. It's this downward outward flow of sexual energy. That's sort of the path of reproduction, but it's a path that drains us when you're stuck in that path, which most guys are through, watching porn, through ejaculating constantly throughout their life. They get stuck in this pattern of downward and outward. And that's where their sexual energy moves. That's how it expresses. When you work with the microcosmic orbit, you start to train your energy to move upward to the higher centers of the body, down the front of the body. It loops around. So it contains within the body. This is the path of sexual transmutation, transmuting your sexual energy to the higher centers of the body. So that's the essence of the microcosmic orbit meditation. I have another video on that, but I want to show you a quick exercise to do. You can do it throughout the day, or especially before you go to sleep, to get that sexual energy moving upward. So basically what you do is you take a deep breath as you're squeezing your pelvic floor, like you have to pee and you're holding it back. That's optional, but it can help to move the energy upward. Take a deep breath while squeezing the pelvic floor and look up with the eyes and feel like there's this straw in your spine, and you're breathing the energy up from the balls, up to the head, up to the brain. Exhale. Let it kind of spiral in the brain, collect here. Again, look up, inhale. Deep breath, squeezing the pelvic floor. You're drawing that energy upward to the brain, and then exhale, let it condense here. Alternatively, you can exhale down the front of the body, bring this energy down to the belly, down to the dantian, this energy center here where it can be contained and digested. It's where we can store our sexual energy after it's moved through the body and transformed. So inhale, looking up, energy goes up. Exhale down the front of the body, place the hands on the belly. Place the tongue against the roof of the mouth to connect the two circuits. Exhale onto the belly. Again, inhale, draw the energy up. Exhale down the front of the body. Inhaling up. Exhale down the front of the body. Just feel it store in the belly here. Simple practice to move your sexual energy upward, charges the brain with it, moves it down the front of the body. You can just breathe up the back, down the front. Very simple way to run the microcosmic orbit. And so that was a basic method of testicle breathing, which is a method for, again, moving that sexual energy through the body. If you want a more in-depth practice, I have a guided audio on my website, jonathanwhitelifestyle.com. It's $2. It's a really incredible practice that anyone who's doing semen retention should be practicing, because it keeps your sexual energy moving through the body. So do that before going to bed, and that'll start to program your energy to move upward and stay within your body instead of ejaculating it out. So thank you for watching this video. I really hope you find this helpful. Again, don't beat yourself up about wet dreams. It may be inevitable from time to time. So please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and leave a comment below. What do you do to prevent wet dreams? Have a great day, my friends.